Hello and welcome to my channel and welcome to my thoughts on RWBY episodes 1 to 3. That is Ruby Rose and The Shining Beacon parts 1 and 2. And obviously careful for spoilers for these episodes and the trailers. The first thing I'd like to mention is a couple of things from the trailers that didn't actually become apparent or relevant until after I'd seen the first 3 episodes. And that is that each of the 4 main girl characters seems to represent a different season of the year. Yang represents summer. Her lyrics in I Burn do mention I burn hotter than the sun in the middle of July. And in the Northern Hemisphere, July is a summer month. Yang Xiaolong, her full name, or at least the full name that she's using at that time, means Little Dragon of the Sunshine. Again, pointing to summer and the sun. And obviously she's yellow, and when she uses dust, she burns fierce. Literally on fire. Vaishni obviously represents winter. I barely need to go through my reasons for thinking that, with the snowflakes and the white and the snow. And anyway, right, Blake represents autumn, or as the Americans call it, fall. In the trailer we see a lot of autumnal leaves falling off the trees. Blake's surname is Belladonna, which while in Italian means beautiful lady, and I'm not going to argue there, Belladonna is also the drug derived from the deadly nightshade. And obviously her lyrics talk about shade and shadows, and deadly nightshade happens to be an autumnal plant. It flourishes late summer, early autumn, which again points to Blake being an autumn girl. That leaves Rose as representing spring. Spring in nature is renewal. It's a time of birth and rebirth. It's when the young shoots, the young flowers start to blossom and bloom and come into their full glory. And the lyrics of This Will Be the Day do reflect that Ruby is the hero of the hour. She is the young flower that is about to blossom into a great warrior. All representing spring, in my opinion. I don't know if this is an original idea or even if I'm way off the mark, but that's just the way it seemed to me. At the beginning of episode 1 we see a man walking down an alleyway, and right there and then, unless you're watching it on a frame by frame playback, you'll miss the first cultural reference, which is Doctor Who's scarf hanging off the washing line. In particular, the 4th Doctor's scarf. It's literally only in frame for a fraction of a second. And no, I didn't notice it either. I had to look that one up. Roman Torchwick. His name is a pun in several different ways. He represents, well, in look, in appearance, he represents Alex from A Clockwork Orange, with the bowler hat, the cane, the slightly mascaraed eye, with the other eye being slightly covered. Very reminiscent of Alex from A Clockwork Orange, but his name represents Pinocchio's story, in particular the evil market dealer in the Pinocchio story, whose name was Candlewick. And I don't think it's any stretch of the imagination to take candle and come up with torch. Also, I don't know if other countries call this firework different names, but in Britain there's a particular firework we call a Roman candle. And I think that's where, again, where his name derives from, the Roman Candlewick, Roman Torchwick. I've yet to find out who the girl he was with when they were fighting on the ship. I don't know who she is, but she seemed very autumny as well. I think I'm getting fixated on seasons here. Glinda Goodwitch and Ozpin, and of course Vomit Boy, Joan of Arc, who represents obviously Joan of Arc, a real person. So I didn't realise they were going to be referencing real people as well as book characters and film characters and fairy story characters. So all bets are off on that one. My guessing is going to be very, very inaccurate from now on as to who I think is being referenced in any particular scenario. I'd like to take a minute to talk about the introduction to episode 1. The stark realism of the animation I really loved. It reminded me of the origin story at the beginning of the film Watership Down. Another animation that looks like it's for children and really isn't. I loved getting the compact story of the history of the world and the history of the story as we come into it. It's very complicated. The creatures of Grimm, the night, being banished by the light, and this light is fading, the dark is returning, and therefore these creatures are returning, and that they're putting all their hopes on this only a simple soul can defeat, and RWBY obviously is this simple soul. Yeah, it reminded me of Game of Thrones, to be quite honest, in that concept. And yeah, we learn a bit about the world: remnant, dust, the beacon, and the various schools that teach people how to be hunters and huntresses. It seems that the hunters and the huntresses are almost like the pop stars of this world. The way RWBY was fangirling out. And also, every time there's a fight, every time there's a huntress or a potential hunter in the scene, we're getting snippets of various themes, like White's theme or Red's theme. There's really not that much else to say about these 3 episodes, to be quite honest. It was a very, very much an introduction. We were just getting to know the characters. Vice has come across as being extremely bitchy, extremely harsh, stuck up, snobby. I don't think that's really her character. I think that, her theme, Mirror Mirror, talks about loneliness, and we've just found out that she's an heiress to this worldwide multi-billion-dollar company that has some dubious business practices. So it seems like she's lonely for that reason. She's isolated. She doesn't really fit in because she's just lived a completely different life to everybody else. She's got no common ground with anybody, so she hides it by being brash and abrasive. I think really deep down she wants to be loved. She just doesn't know how to make friends. She has no idea because she's never had to before. RWBY comes across as just a typical teenager, a typical 15-year-old. Wanting to fit in, just wanting to be normal, not wanting to be anything special. Unfortunately, she is. She is a prodigy, a weapons prodigy. So, yeah, I can feel her angst there. That all she wants to do is make friends and just be herself, and she's been catapulted, especially by her sister, who's going out of her way to emphasise how special she is. And again, RWBY doesn't really know how to make friends yet, for different reasons than Vice. She doesn't know how to make friends because she's she's in an environment where everybody is that much older than her. And that can be very intimidating, especially 15. The gap between 15 and 17 at that age seems a lot more than just 2 years. Because it is the difference between being a child and being almost an adult. Yang, on the other hand, is totally different. She's popular, she's confident, she finds striking up a conversation with a complete stranger no effort whatsoever. In fact, within 5 minutes of landing at Beacon, she seemed to have found a group of friends and had gone off with them, leaving Ruby alone. Which just shows just how popular Yang is and how easy it is for her to make friends. She's deadly proud of her sister. And somebody commented in the comments that it goes a little bit beyond sisterly pride. I don't know. I have no sisters. I have no brothers. I'm an only child. Always have been. I don't know why I said that. But I have no comparison. So I can't really say what a relationship between siblings is at that age. But if what you say is true, and the grave that Red was visiting at the beginning of Red's trailer was in fact their mother, then it does stand to reason that Yang would have helped bring up her younger sister. And therefore have that pride in her. I don't know. I didn't really see the grave that well, but it was certainly a relative. Wasn't her mother's name Summer Rose? Blake, on the other hand, seems to be a girl that chooses to have very few friends. Burying her head in a book, she seems to avoid human contact almost deliberately. As soon as Ruby tries to strike up a conversation with her in the courtyard, Blake walks off. And later on, when Blake is reading a book, although it is very annoying to be interrupted while you're trying to read, she makes it very clear that she does not want Ruby's presence around her while she's trying to read. There's something very not quite human about Blake. I can't put my finger on it, but I don't understand the world we're living in quite yet. I don't understand the world of Remnant, but could there be other types of human? Maybe there's more than one type of humanoid on the planet. I could be wrong, but there's just something different about Blake. I just can't put my finger on. Aside from that, I mean, I liked John. I think he was a great character. I mean, I do usually sympathise with those that seem weakest. And he's sort of insecure and a little bit unconfident. You could tell that by the way he was talking about his weaponry. After seeing Crescent Rose, he was a little bit ashamed that all his weapon could do was shrink in size. And it can't even shrink in mass either, so it's still just as heavy. Science, yay. Yes, and apart from that, I look forward to seeing some of the other characters and meeting them officially. We haven't yet met Adam yet, that we saw in Blake's trailer. So I look forward to meeting him for the first time, being introduced to him for the first time properly. As well as the girl in the leather outfit that looked like something from Dungeons and Dragons. I see her in the credits as well as other people, but she's very noticeable. So hopefully we're going to meet her maybe in the next episode, which will be coming up very soon. Okay, that's me signing off. I hope you enjoyed this brief review. And until then, catch you later. Bye bye.